Hi, I'm Mark Beck.
And I'm Stephanie Thompson.
And I'm Meghan Salois. We're with Remax Glacier Country, coming to you here from Sunset Plaza in Kalispell, Montana.
And this is Selling Montana, a podcast about business, entrepreneurship, and real estate right here in Montana. And we've got an amazing guest with us today, our good friend Matt Rizzolo from Flathead Valley Mortgage.
You just butchered his last name.
I just butchered his last name.
How do you say your last name?
Rizzolo?
So, like the American version is Rizzolo, and that's what I say. But if you go back to the old country, it's Rizzolo. So
Is that like Italian or like?
it's a good Irish last name.
Irish?
It's Italian.
Oh, it's Italian.
What is it? No,
It's Italian.
It's really
Okay.
Italian. It's got the two.
Some people call him the Rizzler.
No, one person calls me the Rizzler.
One client calls him the Rizzler.
One client calls me the Rizzler. I don't know where that one came from.
Me neither.
It's not bad. I've been called worse. So.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for joining us today. Matt, you are the proud owner of Flathead Valley Mortgage in Columbia Falls. You've been in mortgage for quite some time. I know I've done a lot of business with you. Myself, personally, I've done 4 refinances with you, two purchases and 2 refinances with you.
Yep.
Yeah. And
in the last 3 years or the last year?
last 4 years?
Last 4 years.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yourself. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
myself.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be.
I know.
We've done a
We've
couple
done
more.
A couple
outside of
more,
that,
but-
business transactions, but yeah.
Very cool.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your intro into, well, one, you're not from Montana. Tell us a little bit about you coming to Montana.
Okay. So, yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. I was born and raised there. My uncle, he escaped the East Coast about 35 years ago. He graduated med school and had job offers all across the country. One of them was in Billings, and he went and visited Billings, and a doctor took him fly fishing and brought him over to Yellowstone, and him and his wife were like, this is where we want to raise a family. So they escaped the East Coast then. When I was about 21, I knew I was over the East Coast. I wanted to get out to the mountains out west. We'd always visit Colorado, Utah, Montana growing up. And I was thinking about, Boulder or going over to Portland. And my uncle and aunt said, well, we just moved to this cool little town called Whitefish. Why don't you come visit? And I came out and visited in December. It snowed 2 feet the night I got in. We went up to the mountain, skied for a week, and I just loved the area. And 3 weeks later, I was in my car and I moved here.
Oh,
wow.
That's
You just-
Quick.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle put me up for a little bit and put up with me for a little while.
I was going to say, put up with you.
Put up with me for a little while until I found my way and eventually made my way into mortgages. And just recently this year decided that I wanted to go out on my own and start my own brokerage. So yeah, that's how I got to Montana though. And I don't know if I'll ever live anywhere else. I just love the Flathead Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So
What were you doing just before mortgage?
so before mortgage, I was a manager of the local Verizon store. Mm-hmm. I left there and
I'll call you with any phone.
no,
I'm just
kidding. Like,
I'm retired. I'm retired.
Retired
those
from
are
phones.
many models ago. I have no idea how to work a phone now, I promise. And then I was a expertise trainer, pretty much a product knowledge and sales trainer at Cabela's for a little bit, and then had an opportunity to get into mortgages and jumped in. I remember I was in the mortgage process at one point a few years before, and I was there with my girlfriend, and we sat down with a very good loan officer here in the Valley, and they answered all of my questions. They were super attentive, and all I could think about while I was sitting there on the other side of the table is that I think I could do that. I think I could be that person. And then I walked out of their office, and my girlfriend looked at me at the time and said, I think you could do that. And I was like, okay, I should start exploring this. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool. So didn't go to school for it because you don't need to go to college to become a mortgage broker, right?
You don't need to. It's nice to have a background in finance or anything like that. That'll help you get the ground running. But requirements to be a loan officer are a 20-hour course, and then to pass a pretty extensive test, and then you have to stay up to date with licensing requirements every year.
Sure.
And then you do have to have somebody sponsor you as well.
Right. You have to be supervised by someone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's cool. That's amazing. And so you're in mortgage, and then now you just opened your own brokerage. And how's that going?
It's going really well. It's actually going better than I expected. We've expanded a little bit and brought on some more full-time staff. We're looking to grow as well and bring on some other production loan officers. Yeah, we picked out Columbia Falls, and that's been really wonderful to be part of that growing community. I really enjoyed over there. And yeah, it couldn't be going any better. It's really nice to, run a company the way that I would like to and have that flexibility. And then we also have like just an excellent team, hit the ground running with some really good, really trustworthy, amazing loan officers and a good production staff as well.
Well, you're a hustler because I did business with you. One, because you knew a family member you were babysitting or no, what was it? My family member, my sister was babysitting for your girlfriend, right? At the time. Yeah. Sorry. Almost switched those. Matt's like, yeah, a short part-time babysitting gig. Yeah. And you cold called me at 8:00 at night. You're like, oh yeah. So I heard you might need a mortgage soon. And I had a little tricky project. I needed to do a cash out refinance on 2 townhomes that were under construction.
Yeah,
and
complete, yeah.
Yep. And that was, I got myself into the project. I got financing. I had to go to 5 different local banks. Only one extended financing to me because I had sweat equity involved in the project to do them both. And then I knew, I wanted to get out of my current job. I was a car salesman, and I knew I wanted to go into real estate. I knew I could do that job, and it sounded better to me. But no, I could not find a bank or a lender that would do a cash out refi on new construction. And Matt found someone who would do it. And that's kind of really when I got into real estate, you had just gotten into mortgage, and I was like, this is my guy. Like, he can get anything done. He's like, God.
Well,
Literally.
It's pretty funny because I had no idea what I was doing. Like that was the first call I ever made on mortgages. I had been licensed for like 2 weeks or something.
Wow. And it was you?
Mark's sister, said that, oh, my brother needs a mortgage. And I was just like, I'm calling this guy right now. And I'd met Mark like once or twice before, briefly. Huh. But I called him. I said, hey, I just started being a loan officer at this company. Like, let me know. And if there's a way, I'll find a way. And that was a cold call. And yeah, we closed that. I think that was in March or April, and your home was completed in December. So I had done a handful of other deals between them. But yeah, that was the very first deal was something that like I had no idea how to do. And I went to my boss at the time, and he was like, well, I've never done it before. I'm not sure. He's like, let's look up the guidelines. And I just dug into it and found that there's a way to be able to do that. And that's kind of just been, I would say, one of the models of my success is I'll never take like no for an answer at the beginning. Like I'm going to dig through.
Impressive. I like that about you guys.
I'm going to dig through every single guideline and rule and make sure I'm, if somebody has to be denied or we can't do something, I need to know absolutely for sure and see why and explore every avenue before taking that no.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was I think that was so impressive for me is because, well, especially when you're younger and you're getting started and everyone's telling you no, right? Especially banks, and they're like, oh, there's always a million excuses. Your credit, your cash, outlier, whatever, and it's like when you're in my position and you're just trying to hustle and you're trying to put together your first multifamily deal and whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm looking for someone who's going to try really hard to get it done because I need someone to try really hard for me. And that's, I think that's what, people need to look for when they're looking for a lender, in my opinion.
That's why I went with Matt too. I got my house loan through Matt because I had a change of income because I had just sold the salon and was switching to real estate, and everybody was telling us no. So Matt was like, let me try. So I like to refer self-employed people to him too because it's really hard to get self-employment pre-approval.
Yeah, we just, sometimes. I like I call them the fun ones. Like,
the more challenging they are, the more fun.
Yeah, but it's like a good way to set yourself apart too, because other people, they get told no, or they think, there's no way I'll be able to do this. It's way too hard. And then all of a sudden you just have a conversation with them. You ask them a couple questions, you figure out their goals, and you can make something happen.
Yeah.
And that's, that's the super fun part about being a loan officer is helping people achieve, one of their biggest goals in home ownership and finding a way to get it done for someone who maybe just never thought there was a way. So those are always the really rewarding ones. And I always enjoy just having conversations. Some people are like they're afraid to call a loan officer because they're afraid of hearing no, or they're afraid to refer somebody else because they don't think it'll happen, or you need 20% down. There's like all these different myths and misconceptions. And we just got to cut through all that and just have a conversation and see what happens. So,
yeah. And sometimes it's just coaching, right? They just need to get a little bit of coaching and
or just
pointers on how to get their credit where it needs to be. And then, and you can get them lined out on and get them to home ownership.
Yeah, it's just clear out misconceptions and really figure out what somebody's goal is. A lot of times people come in and they have a very set, specific goal, or they think they have to do a certain way. And we just try to deconstruct that, right?
Slowly going down further.
Is it just shrinking?
Yeah, it is.
We just try to deconstruct that and see what their true goal is. And then we can rebuild that roadmap on how to meet that goal. So.
Twisting it wrong. Hang on, let me just, I'll cut this. We'll cut this part out.
Okay.
I'll leave it. It's funny. It's real and raw.
It's real and raw. The mic.
So I think that's, those tenets about being, being communicative and breaking down, not just taking an application and approving and denying, but really working with people to understand their goals and needs. That's something that I've tried to spread to the other loan officers that have worked at the company now, and I want to continue to spread that through as we expand.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I hate to just beat the rate bus, but it is kind of like an issue right now. Interest rates have been, I would say, artificially low is what some people say. They've been artificially low. What are you doing to keep people approved at where they're approved at, or how are you helping people?
So I don't really think the rates are an issue now. They're still generally low compared to where they were. Mm-hmm. They're a little bit higher than 4 years ago. 4 years ago, they creeped up into the 5s. Mm-hmm. They're kind of ebbing and flowing right now. But the one thing is, raising interest rate environment, it's staying in touch with those clients that maybe were on the verge of their qualification levels, right? And just staying in touch with them, letting them know, hey, your buying power may have decreased, or we need to look at something else, and staying on top of them, because if you don't, and all of a sudden they go find a house, but now the interest rate's a point or a point and a half higher, there was some really big jumps, that could turn an approval into a denial really quick. So just staying in touch with your clients. And then there's something I heard really interesting about rates in our one of our networking groups and broker advocacy groups is you marry the house but date the rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? It's a good one.
I've heard that one.
That's
good.
Right?
Yeah. So everything's a 30-year fix, or a lot of 30-year fixed loans, right?
Yeah.
But nobody keeps them for 30 years. No. And there's always there's a refinance opportunity down the road. So,
totally.
So as long as you can afford the payment and the house works out, that's that's what we kind of can advocate or advise our clients is, as long as you're comfortable with this payment, this probably isn't your rate forever.
Yeah, totally.
Might be your forever home, but not your forever loan.
Yeah. Do you feel like people are so confident right now? I'm just curious, if you've seen a slowdown a little bit with your purchases, or are people panicking about rates and kind of slowing down on things? Because I don't know, it just seems like a lot more properties are just sitting longer, and so just curious kind of what your take is on that.
I know that some of my clients that were investors looking for more rental properties and things have taken their foot off the pedal a little bit with the rising rates. A lot of first-time home buyers, some people are scared of it. They're more scared of the increase in home price than they were of the rate, just the overall monthly payment.
That makes sense.
But a lot of it almost feels like I've had some clients circle back now, because they feel the market, they feel things are sitting, there's a little less pressure with rates a little bit higher, but there's still so many people that still want to enter homeownership.
Yeah.
And as long as they can make it happen and get in there, they understand that, if you're looking at a short-term investment with high interest rates and maybe high home prices, that could be a little scary. But if you're looking to enter and become a homeowner and are comfortable owning that home and making those payments for the next 5 years, that's going to be a long-term investment and long-term asset for you.
Yeah. I think a lot of the buyers that are exiting purchasing are the people that were looking for purchasing a VRBO in Montana, because I want to clean up and I want, it's okay, well now, not that we don't like those buyers, but it was pushing a lot of people that want to just buy a home so that they can come and live in it. And, so it's okay, now it's not penciling anymore at these prices and at these rates for the investor to make a bunch of money on a short-term rental, right? So it's kicking them out of the market, or, not that they couldn't do it, but they don't have the interest of floating the mortgage or just owning the home as a second home, which is good. It's like, okay, now the buyers that want to live here, work here, play here year round are going to have a little better opportunity.
Yeah, and there's also like government pressure on that. So the FHFA came out in sometime at the beginning of this year. I don't remember the exact date, but they enacted a line level pricing adjustment on any loan that was going to be designated as a second home or a investment property. Oh, wow. So before, and we did a ton of them.
Yeah.
Before was second homes, you could do 10% down and get the exact same rate as if you were buying a primary residence, right?
Yeah.
And they were the hot ticket. And investment property did have some line level pricing adjustments where you'd pay a slightly higher rate for a very similar purchase compared to a primary, but it was still pretty tenable and not that crazy, right? So the FHFA noticed and the government noticed that, there's all these second home buyers are buying up homes and investors, and they're making it harder for first time home buyers to enter the market. So they slapped like some huge point adjustments on those loans, especially they pretty much made the 10% down second home. They made it disappear, right?
Really?
Wow.
So if primary residence, you could get the 5.5% rate and it wouldn't cost anything in points. To do that as a second home at 10% down, it would cost like 4 points for that same rate, 4 or 5 points. So if it's a 500, that's, $20,000 to $25,000 in fees just to get it done. So that just knocks people out.
Yeah.
So second homes, you really need to bring almost like 25% down to really start eating away from that fee. So it really, the government was also trying to slow that down as well with making policy change.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was. I remember we had talked before that they were gonna make it harder to do the second home, but just slapping fees on it and increasing down payment requirements. That really did it. Because I've just noticed those buyers have just disappeared. Like no one's calling anymore. Where they're like, I'm looking for a VRBO. It's got a pencil, and it's like, well, it's not.
It's not going to
pencil.
The cap rate is not going to.
There's no cap rate. Like you just want to. It's like if you just want to own a house in Montana and it's going to cost you a little bit, then great. But
we had a few clients that they do the second home opportunity where they're like, well, we want to move to Montana in the next couple of years, but we can't move there now because we don't, we can't leave our job or anything like that. So if you could carry both mortgages, I was like, okay, buy it as a second home, right? Yeah. Come visit, vacation, and then slowly move your way over here. If you can carry both mortgages, then you're eligible and you can do that. Like that strategy is almost gone now. Wow. And we had a couple clients just back off and slow down that were very interested. And I was, some of them, we got a couple and before I was like, hey, this is coming. Yeah. If you're going to make your move. And if they didn't, and then that fee was enacted, it just, remove that opportunity.
It's kind of not a very great strategy anyways, because the times that they want to come and use the property are the times that they need to rent it the most, right? Like you have to have no owner occupancy during July, August, September, and most of June, because that's when you make, 75, 80% of the money to cover that mortgage. And then inevitably those are the weeks that the owner wants to come and use it. And it's like, I don't know.
It's beautiful here in May. Be like rain.
Yeah. Maybe some snow still.
Especially this year.
Yeah, no kidding. So Matt, just to segue a little bit, speaking of rain and water, you're an avid whitewater rafter.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He is, yeah. Huh. Tell us a little bit more about that, because I'm sure we have some people that would love to know.
Yeah, so actually, one of your friends and our mutual clients came over and borrowed some rafting gear. They're flying into Schaefer this weekend, and I just got back from there. So another thing that my uncle helped me move out here, he also really got me into whitewater rafting. He took me on a really crazy overnight trip the first year I was here. And it was like, looking back at it, it was like an actually scary experience, but I was too ignorant to know. I'm like, oh man, this is super fun. And you're like, you could have died out there.
Oh my gosh.
But that's transition. Like the first big purchase that I made here was a raft. And, I've gotten to float some really amazing rivers, and it's something I really look forward to every year. I get to do the Grand Canyon a few years ago, which is kind of a mecca for whitewater rafters. Wow. And I've been on the Middle Fork of the Salmon, looking to do the Selway and get out in the Rogue River. but didn't pull any permits this year. But we did just fly into Schaefer Meadows, which is a great local rafting spot that may wind up getting permitted soon. There's some potential legislation coming down the pipeline to start permitting the Flathead River, like the North Fork, the wild and scenic areas. So that's really interesting. But yeah, we try to get out in the water a lot and have a bunch of different boats and getting my girlfriend more involved in it. Something that she's from New Jersey and just moved here a year ago.
Sounds terrifying.
And yeah,
not a lot of rafting in New Jersey.
Not
huh?
a lot of no. Sitting in an inner tube going down the Delaware River with a beer in your hand.
Yeah,
that's the way I do it.
So
I didn't know you had to get a permit to go down the river though.
Yeah, not certain rivers.
I mean, yeah, for rafting.
But yeah, so Stephanie's, her friends are like, you're rafting now? It's like, I never would have expected it either, but she really, really love it. And it's something we really enjoy together. And we've got a little 2-person paddle boat we call the divorce maker because you're yelling at each other.
God.
If you want to test your relationship, you get in that little boat and run it down the river.
That's an appropriate name.
Yeah.
The divorce maker.
Oh, man.
Well, one of these days, Matt's going to take me rafting.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of busy that day.
I've been too all rafting.
I know, right?
Yeah, we do a Remax float.
Do a Remax float. There we go. We've all been too busy the last few summers, and so, but this summer we might have a little more time.
We could do it. Throw some PFDs on, fill the cooler up, and head down to the Middle Fork.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
We'll run Bone Crusher.
Oh, great.
You gotta love some of the rapid names.
I'd be like the first one in the water.
Yeah. Bone Crusher.
It's refreshing.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah, you're like, oh, is that actually fun? Like the Lochsaw River has Bloody Mary, just ridiculous names.
That's funny.
So, yeah, Killer
Very
Fang is another one that I really like.
I've never heard
Comes
of
up with
any of
these.
these.
I haven't either.
Those ones are really fun. Other ones are named after like somebody who made a mistake on the river, like got their boat stuck. They're like, that's Jones Rapid. You're like, oh, who was Jones?
Poor Jones.
Jones had a bad day on the rapid.
Jones had a bad day.
Yeah.
Me and my husband have lost a few wedding rings on the river floating.
Yep.
Had too many margaritas.
I quit bringing expensive glasses on the river. I bring cheap ones. The cheap sunglasses never fall in. The
Never.
expensive ones do.
Yeah, always.
They float or they like bounce off the boat and they go back in.
And they're back in, and you're like, oh, my $200 Ray-Bans though, boom, gone. Nope.
They make good anchors. They just sink.
Well, we're coming up on our timeline here, but anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I think that's it. It was great. Thanks for really having me on the show here, and it's good to see you. Like,
thank you.
Been so busy, we haven't really got to spend any time together, so it's good to see all these faces. So
face to face is always nice. So, great. Well, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you would please share this video, hit the subscribe button. We would love to gain more viewership and share more information with you and your friends. Oh.